people in the class and all the people on the phone. First and foremost, welcome and thank you. So today, what is our agenda? We're going to talk about detailed SAP overview, so detailed SAP overview. I'm going to talk to you guys about setting up the VPN. I'm going to talk to you guys about SAP GUI setup. Those are the three things, and then of course we will have questions, answers, etc. Do I have to connect to the VPN now? No, there is no need in today's class. We do not need VPN, we do not need SAP GUI in today's class, but I'm going to show you how to install it. We don't need it. If you're not having it, that's fine. But next class, of course, we will need it. I think most of you would have my number. If not, I'm going to give you my email ID. This is my email ID. If you don't have it, you guys can make a note of it. You can make a note of Sonal email ID. If you're not having it, and you can also have Priyanka email ID. So these are some of the people. Okay. So there are three people. You can call me out, and my number, everybody make note, because 973-885-7245. Now, you do not need it now and today and tomorrow, but in the future you will need my Yahoo Messenger. I use Yahoo Messenger because I travel, a lot of people I have trained, right? If you ask me how many people I have trained in SAP MM, I have no idea. I cannot count number of batches though. Forget about number of students. If I say that which number batch I'm teaching, I don't know. I just met half an hour back, actually 45 minutes back, with a gentleman who is being taught by my student. So I said, that's fine. So I asked him, who taught you? So this one, I said, okay, that's good. He was my student. So I said, I'm proud that he being my student, he is teaching, so I'm fine with it. So this is my Yahoo Messenger. You won't need it today though, Yahoo Messenger, but in the, what happens is, in the future when you're doing exercises, etc., and specifically when you're on project and all that, you want to ask a quick question, you cannot send email, because you're sending email and I'm checking, it can take 2 hours sometimes. You know, you're doing exercise, you see me online, sir, I have a quick question. What is that? You can ask it. So this is my Yahoo Messenger ID. You can send me invite. I will help answer this question. Does everybody have Sonal's number? Everybody? Okay.
And the email.
Yeah. Sonal's number is started with a 551. I don't know what. Let me see what it is. So you can get. Let me see her number. Funnel number is, where is she? I don't remember her number, that's my problem. Let me find out. Yeah, I got it. So her number is 551 689. That is a direct number, 2502. See, also use this number 732 354 3630. That's also.
55189. I think it's missing another.
Yeah, this is third number in the middle. Dial number?
Oh, yeah. Good catch. Yeah, 689. That is Sonal's direct number, 551-689-2502. That is her direct number. 732-354-36. That is her landline. So see you this. Priyanka, you guys wanna call 732-354-3631. That is the number you can call. Good. So these are some of housekeeping items you guys understand, with the contact detail of the people if you have a question, concerns, issues. So I'm going to talk to you guys about today. As I told you probably my demo class, intro class and all that, you guys have to make a lot of notes. I will be giving a lot of physical notes. You should always have pen and paper ready. So you should be able to take notes. A lot of those notes are very important from a mock interview perspective, and client perspective, or project perspective. So those are important notes. So let us begin. Some part of that I think I spoke. I think some part, but some people have not attended. So I'm going to repeat from the beginning. So even if you have heard it, that's fine. So I'm going to talk from the very beginning. A couple of things which I state in front about my teaching approach. I'm a little bit fuzzy about time. Means when I start the class, I start always in time. So almost never I will be late. I dislike being late. So I will always start at 2 o'clock. So that's our time fixed. I'm going to be always 2 o'clock. I will be online. Unless I'm sick and fever, that's something, but 99%. Number 2, I will be giving homework. So you will be taking homework from me. I will be asking you to do that work. And that is also another thing I'm a little bit, fuzzy about. I expect when I teach people, they learn. I'm not teaching you because you are paying me. I'm teaching you because I want you to learn. So it's a difference. So some people, sometimes because in the US and all that, some people say, oh, I paid it and why should I care whether, I care though. I'm a little bit of a, I like to keep my class low, means in the sense like do a lot of fun and all that. I do a lot of jokes, a lot of Hindi filmy joke. I will be talking with you. So I keep it very light though. But apart from the light, I also want to make sure that people work and learn the concept and they get benefited from it. Because purpose of me teaching is not that, okay, whatever fees you are paying. The purpose for me is, in 15 years I've been teaching, 16 now, that so many people I taught, and many of them as I talking to like, their teacher or whatever and consultant and all that, I feel very empowered. As a teacher, I feel very empowered that when I teach you, I can probably making some change in a life. If you learn it, you get SAP break-in. And when people call and say that I got SAP project, I feel empowered that I'm contributed to someone's life. Whatever 1500 and this and that, if I do some other job or some project or something, I can earn. I can do 3 projects parallelly. But teaching, I'm very motivated. I love doing teaching. I feel empowered being teacher, because by teacher I feel that I'm making direct contribution to someone's life. That is some people ask me 15, 16 years, how I keep teaching every day. That is the reason I keep teaching 15 years almost every week, because I feel very empowered with the teaching. So I'm very passionate about teaching. Money and all that is fine, but that is a secondary though. Of course, I spending time I'm expecting and all that, but that is the primary reason. You will know this. So, coming back to SAP MM module. What is SAP MM module is about? What does it do? Is there any other class you teach apart from MM WM? Yes, I also teach SDCRM as well. But MM WM is my core module though. I started my career, the module which I learned myself, the first I was taught is MM WM. So MM WM is my core module. And but 15, 16 years is long time, so I learned few others also during course. In fact, I come from purchasing background. Before I came to SAP, I was working as a purchaser. So I come from purchasing, inventory, warehousing, and all those backgrounds. So that's why I learned MMWM myself. Okay, so coming back to SAP MM overview. This slide, in a very graphical way, but in a very simple way, describe to us what is SAP MM module is about. What is my boundary? So on the top there is something called this material planning. Then we have 2 boxes, one is purchasing box, another one is a production box. Then we have an inventory management box. Then we have an invoice verification box. Then we have accounting and sales and distribution. MM module consists of end-to-end planning, purchasing, inventory, invoice verification. There are 4 pillars to MM module. You plan material. So if I put into the example, if I put into business scenario, another thing which is important is to understand SAP from a business perspective. I will be keep repeating you this again and again. You cannot memorize SAP. It's not going to help you. Whenever you're trying to learn, always in your mind is to picture which business scenario I will be using. That bulb should always be on. Like, oh, where are we going to use in this company, in this business? Because at the end of the day, you're not becoming a programmer. At the end of the day, you are becoming a SAP functional consultant, which basically means significant part of it being a process consultant, understanding, talking to people and business and all that. You're not becoming a programmer. You're not writing code after learning this course. So understanding from process perspective is immensely important. Not only in MM, but any module for that matter, because it is a business application. It's application for business. It is application to run business. So on the top, there is a planning. So MM module, it starts with an event that somewhere there is a need for a material. That need triggers MM module. If I need a material, planning tells me, oh, I need 10 pieces of this glass. I need 100 pieces of this pen. I need 5 pieces of this laptop. I have a new employee. Somebody is doing planning. If I need a material, then there are two sources. There are different terminologies. I'm not really sure there is any substantial difference between the two learners. Business analyst or functional analyst. People use a lot of terminology fairly interchangeably. So material planning tells me what I need, what material I need, and on the basis of that, if I need a material, there are two boxes. One is internal procurement, second one is the external procurement. Internal procurement, SAP production in SAP is called internal procurement. And external purchasing in SAP is called external procurement. Means I'm buying from outside. In production means I'm taking material, producing in-house. When you talk about producing in-house, that is production planning module. So that's not our agenda for today. I need a material, go to purchase order. What he does, he creates a purchase order, send it to the vendor. Vendor say, yep, this is fine, I'm going to give it to you. After that, this vendor comes to me and supply the product. When he's going to supply the product, I'm going to receive that material. When I'm going to do good receipt, that is part of inventory management. And after vendor supply the material to me, he submit his invoice and I verify that invoice. So the invoice verification. Invoice verification means vendor says, this is my invoice. You ask me this material, I give it to you. This is my invoice for that. Now I have to verify that. So that is the third aspect of that. So planning, purchasing, inventory, invoice verification, and then integration to accounting. In the last, when I verify the invoice, I integrate to finance. So from process perspective, you start with planning, you do purchasing, you do inventory by doing good receipt, then you do invoice verification, and when you do invoice verification, your account payable get updated. It means at the end of the day, your vendor is your creditor, you owe money to him. This is a quick process flow of SAP MM. I want to pass on the message. MM integrate to production planning, MM integrate to sales, to finance, MM also integrate to sales and distribution here. Because when you have to sell a product to customer, who you are taking it from? Inventory. That's why there is a good issue here. So good receipt, good issue, and this is a total SAP MM WM module. 4 pillars, and they are going to fare 4 major topics for us. So in our course also, these are 4 major topics, and the 5th topic is warehouse management, which is not on this slide. Because warehouse management is not considered as a part of MM. It is part of logistic execution module. So total thing in a high level we're going to learn is these 5. Planning, purchasing, inventory, invoice verification, and warehouse management. Talking about what is this? SAP and QA. Okay, QA is quality analysis, that's different. SAP is application. Talking about master data. One more thing which I want to tell you here though, if I go back to my first slide. Every module consists of 4 buckets: master data, organization data, processes, and reporting. There are 4 major buckets: master data, organizing data, processes, reporting. Now, master data. In SAP, you have various types of master data. From procurement perspective, there are several master data. But we have three boxes here: material, vendor, and info record. These are the three main master data in purchasing, but there are many others. I would like you guys to make note of these three boxes. On your notebook, make these three boxes. So these are, make these boxes, I'm going to explain to you. This is a very good sweet. So if you should try.
Oh.
I love sweet.
Yeah.
And Manish? Courtesy Sandeep. Not mine. He's my favorite student already. I'm giving you guys also a hint.
We're all good.
My last course, I have a guy come from Queens. He'll bring like this much biryani. I said, Are, you're going to make me gain 10-20 pounds. No, he loved cooking. I said, who make it? You make it or your wife make it? You know, I make it. Okay. He said, why you do it? I love cooking. I said, okay.
Come over.
That's good. It's good for me. Okay. So when you talk about the master data, when they're buying, I'm buying this item. This is material master. I'm buying this pen. This is material master. Okay. Then we have a vendor master. Now I'm buying, this is material I'm buying. I'm buying from whom? Supplier. And this supplier is called vendor. So material, what product I'm buying? Vendor, whom I'm buying from? Supplier. And purchase info record, which links this material and vendor together. So material master, purchase info record links material and vendor together. Now what is the meaning of this linking material and vendor together? So I just mentioned, like, you're buying this pen. You're buying from vendor A. You're buying from vendor B. Vendor A will say, my rate is $5 per piece. Vendor B will say, my rate is $6 per piece. Vendor A will say, I'm going to give it to you in 15 days. Vendor B say, I'm going to give you in 5 days. This vendor say, I can supply minimum 15 quantity. This vendor say, I can supply 2 quantity. So every material you're buying, every material vendor, there might be different terms, conditions, other parameters. So this purchase info record is store that kind of information that, okay, this material from this vendor, this is the data. That is part of purchase info record. We will also try to do some exercises today. Hopefully we'll find time. Material master. So In SAP MM, Material Master is a central master data. Material Master is a central master data. So Material Master consists of basic view, purchasing view, sales view, storage view, accounting view, warehouse view, forecasting view. Now, what does a view basically means? Purchasing, sales and distribution, work scheduling, quality, for basic planning and all that. That basically means that this material can be used in that many business processes. So you can buy this material, you can sell this material, you can do quality control on this material, you can forecast and plan this material, you can keep this material into your warehouse. So that basically means this material is passing through that many functions. Because material is not just being involved with the purchasing. Sales people sell them. Quality people do quality check. Inventory people and warehouse people store them. Planning people plan them. Forecasting people forecast them. Accounting people keep track how much is the value of inventory. So that basically means SAP has given various views to reflect all those master data in SAP. Now, Material Master, and then second one is the Vendor Master. Vendor Master means supplier. Who and where I'm buying from. So that supplier master data or the vendor master data should also be maintained in the system. If I'm creating a PO, I need to know who I'm PO creating for. If I'm creating a contract, I need to know who my supplier is with whom I'm going to create contract. So in SAP, we have a vendor master data. Then vendor master data divided into three buckets. They see the three boxes. Box number 1, general data. Box number 2, company code data. Box number 3, purchase organization data. I would like you guys to make a note of these three boxes. So there are three boxes which you see here. So what SAP has done, vendor master divided into three boxes. It's muggy today, huh? It's hard to. Few days it was pretty hot.
Like 89.
89. Then it rain, become cold. Everybody in the phone, please keep making notes and all that. Jitu Roy. Yes, Jitu. Do you have any question? Okay. Sure. Welcome. So we have a vendor master data. Vendor master data is divided into three buckets, which is general data, company code data, and purchase organization. Now, general data, that's where we maintain the data like address, phone number, fax number, email address, and all that. That is all part of general data. Company code data, where we maintain financial information. Purchasing organization data, where we maintain purchasing information. Okay. So the vendor master data divided into 3 buckets: general data, company code data, purchasing data. Okay. So, so far we talked about that SAP MM module stand on the pillar of planning, purchasing, inventory, and invoice verification. We talk about this integration with finance, integration with the sales, integration with production, integration with planning. Then we talked about we have 3 master data: material master, vendor master, info record. Material master tells me what material I'm buying. Vendor master tells me which vendor I'm buying from, and then purchase info record is the 3rd master data which link them together. Okay. Now I go to the next topic, talking about organization labels, organization units of. In organization units, the first and foremost you have client, company code, plant, store location, purchase organization, purchasing group. I would like you guys to make a note of these definitions. Make a note of this. Oh, what happened? Hold on. Did I not copy properly? Undo. Oh, okay. Sorry. I would like you guys to make a note of this. Make note. So here there is a client, company code, plant, store location, purchase organization, purchasing group. Then I'm going to describe to you. So client, number 2 company code, plant, store location, purchase organization, purchasing group. These are called organization units. Organization units. Organization structures. organization elements. They are used. These words are used interchangeably. Oh, Shanti, it's a different class, madam. But you can still give me high five though. Okay, no problem. Okay. So, around 8. But you can call your husband. But he's your driver too, right? Your husband? Mostly husbands are drivers. They didn't get paid though. Normally drivers get paid. They're unpaid drivers. Okay. Do you guys make note? So here, on this slide, we have certain organizing units called client, company code, plant, store location, purchase organization, purchasing group. What are these? What are they do to us? So I was not done with the notes. Okay, sure. If you can get a copy of the notepad and the PDF sent to us by email, yes, you will get this PDF. Talk to Sonal, she's gonna send it to you. Let me.
Client would be the highest in the MM organization.
Anywhere. Not only MM, anywhere. Let me know when you're done with your notes. Okay. So on the top, we have a client. So let's take an example. Company like Coke or company like Pepsi or Apple or Johnson & Johnson or any of these global organizations. So let's say Coke. What is Coke? Coke is a global organization. They are there more than 150 countries. Almost every country is there in the planet Earth. They have their office. They sell their sugared water at a premium cost. You agree with me? I don't know. It gives me a little bit kick though. In India, long back, there used to be one advertisement. I don't know if it's there. I think it's run by Pepsi. There's a guy somewhere in the middle of desert not finding any water. But you see a Pepsi shop. You don't find a water. You can find a Pepsi bottle even in desert also. So, but a lot of these are global organizations and very successful. So like the client means Coke. Now company code represents legal entity. Company code represents legal entity. So company code is like having various elements. In the company code we have for example Coke US, one legal entity, Coke Canada, another legal entity, Coke Mexico, another legal entity, Coke UK, another entity, Coke China, another entity, Coke India, another entity. Because every country where the Coke is, that is a separate company. They are governed by law of that country. So legally, if I have a Coke US and Coke Canada, they are two separate legal part of the same parent, but they are two separate companies. Coke US is governed by US laws, and Coke Canada is governed by Canadian laws. They produce their own balance sheet. They produce their own profit and loss account. Okay. And who does that in SAP? That is called company code. So company code represents legal entity which produce balance sheet, profit and loss account. Then we have a plant. Plant represents manufacturing entity. So let's say you have I'll give an example of a Coke, and then you have a manufacturing plant for the Coke. That Coke manufacturing plant is a plant in SAP. But plant definition in SAP is much more flexible. Plant represents manufacturing entity, but it could be non-manufacturing entity also. So it is not always a manufacturing entity. So make a note of that statement. So company code, legal entity, plant, manufacturing entity, or production entity. Store location is a further subdivision of the plant where you're going to keep the material. So where you keep the material? You keep the material in the store location. So in the plant, so this is my plant, and I have a raw material store. I have a finished goods store. That's where material is physically kept. Then we have a purchase organization. Purchase organization represents purchasing entity. Who is buying product? Who is responsible for buying product in your company? Purchasing department. How do you represent that purchasing department in SAP? You represent that in the form of a purchasing organization. Then we have something called purchasing group. Who is working in purchasing department? In purchasing department, we have buyers. We have people. You have Michael, you have Thomas, you have John, you have Nancy, you have Richard, you have this and that. Those people or the group of people are called purchasing group. That is why here you have a client, Coke, company code, legal entity like a Coke US, Coke Canada, plant, the manufacturing entity, store location, we are keeping the store, purchase organization means purchasing entity where who is buying product. Purchase organization represents roughly equivalent to a purchasing department. Purchasing group, people who are working in it. In the purchasing department, I have Michael, Thomas, Richard, Nancy. Purchasing
group can be Walmart, it can be ShopRite.
Purchasing group is a group of people.
Organization.
Purchase organization? It's a purchase department. So in my Pepsi, I have a purchase department who is buying it. In Coca-Cola, I have a purchasing department. In Johnson & Johnson, there is a purchasing department who is buying product. So purchase organization is purchasing department. People who are buying, negotiating products from the vendors. Purchasing entity. All these organized units are hierarchically connected. So on the top there is a client. So there is a Pepsi, or this is Coke. This is a Coke, and this is Coke US. This is Coke Canada. In Coke US, I have a plant in New Jersey, plant in Atlanta, plant in Alabama. In Canada, Coke, I have a plant in Toronto. In plant 1000, I have a store location 110. In plant 1100, I have a store location 1101. Plant 1200, I have a store location 120. And in this plant, I have this store location. This is hierarchically connected. I would like you guys to make these boxes also. Okay. So these entities are hierarchically connected. On the top, there is a client, this company code has a plant, and then plant has storage location, not a storage location. This is purchasing cycle. These 8 steps, which you look at this screen, they should be part of your DNA. They should be part of your DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid. Sandeep. At a high level, from process step perspective, these 8 steps tells me what does SAP MM module consist of. So first step, requirement determination, means somebody telling me that I need to buy this item 10 pieces. Somewhere that requirement comes from. Purchasing have nothing to do unless somebody tells me that they have to buy something. Somebody tell me I need this new computer. Somebody tell me that I need this marketing literature. Somebody tell me I need this production cables. I need this gasoline product. I need this hardware items. But purchasing is not going to buy hardware item by themselves. They need to be told. Somebody has to inform them. So someone is determining requirement. Once I get a requirement, that source that go to purchasing people. Then purchasing people have to say, oh well, okay, who I should buy this from? So source determination. Another one is a vendor selection. In the vendor selection means I have to select the right vendor. Then I have to do a purchase order processing, means I have to create, process, purchase order. Step number 5, I can do PO monitoring. I create a PO, I create a purchase order, send it to the vendor. Then I monitor this PO whether this product has been delivered, not delivered, is on time, delayed. Then I do good receipt. Means my vendor comes to me and then vendor supply the product to us, good receipt. Then I do invoice verification. Means after I receive the material, vendor submit this invoice to me, I verify. And after that, I pay it to the vendor. This is the whole MM cycle. So all 100 hours which we have together to gossip, we have these 8 steps only to talk. But below all these 8 steps, there's a lot of information. But at a high level though, these are the 8 steps. First and foremost, there is a purchase order, which is a legal document. So you create a purchase order. You can purchase order input could be purchase requisition. Right? When I'm creating a purchase order, I can create a purchase order with reference to purchase requisition. I can create a purchase order with reference to RFQ. RFQ means request for quotation. Make a note of that. Quotation. RFQ means request for quotation, not quotation. A request for quotation.
Same thing as requesting a quote.
I hope so.
This is a joke. Somebody send me as a word.
Maybe we should.
Funny. Okay, purchase requisition, convert to purchase order. RFQ. So in SAP, you can do purchase requisition, you can do quotation, you can create a purchase order, you can send this purchase order to a vendor, you can send this purchase order to a plant. Now what is the meaning of this plant? The meaning of this plant is that when you need a material, yes, when you need a material, you're not taking from external vendor. This material is also coming from your own plant. Okay, so that is why we have these 2 errors going out. In SAP, there is something called item categories. I would like you to make a note of this button called item category, and this is what I would like you guys to make a note of it.
Does that fall under procurement cycle or
Which one?
item category?
Make a note first. So you see that purchase requisition, purchase order, purchase requisition, RFQ, agreement, they have various type of item categories. Now, what is the meaning of the item category? That is what is described here. So I would like you guys to make a note of that what is item category. Okay. Item category, you will not understand fully this right now. Item category is the key in purchasing document. It's a key. It's field. In that field there is a value. That key defines what type of item we are buying. For example, we are buying a material, we are buying a service. What type of item we are buying? That is defined by item category. Item category. It is a key which defines what type of item it is. Okay. Purchase order format. So if you see this purchase order data, and then you see there are two arrows here. On this is called header, this is called item. Okay. Header and item. Header means purchase order data is divided into two buckets. Header basically means the data which apply for the entire transaction. Okay. So the header, we have vendor. So that basically means if I'm getting a header data, let me also copy that note. I would like you guys to make a note of this information. So purchase order data, and you will not understand this completely today. Is divided into two buckets. Make note. Okay. So purchase order data is divided into bucket, and then when you're doing exercise and all that, you guys understand more better. So purchase order, you have header data which apply to entire transaction. So for example, we have a vendor. So we have a vendor, for example. Now in the entire purchase order, you can only have a one vendor. You can't have a two vendor in one PO. So vendor is an example of a header data. And for example, other data means you can talk about, let's say, payment term. Payment term basically means what is my terms for payment to the vendor. Then you have item data, which is specific to an item in the purchase order. So now in the one purchase order, we can have a line item 1, line item 2, line item 3. So in one PO, I'm buying 10 pieces of this item, 15 pieces of this item, 20 pieces of this item. So in one PO, I have a 3 item. 1, 2, 3. Now each item can have their own material. So I'm buying this item, 10 pieces at $5 per piece. I'm buying this item, that many quantity at that. That is example of a line item. Now, I create a PO in a SAP system, but creating a PO in my system is not going to help me. I need to send this PO to the vendor. How you can send this PO to the vendor? So first and foremost, there is a printout. You can use printer. You can take a PO, print it, and send it to the vendor. Not very common way. Then you sign it, physical copy. Right. There is something called EDI. EDI stands for Electronic Data Interchange. Make a note of that. EDI is Electronic Data Interchange.
That's what probably most businesses use now.
A lot of people use, especially in the US, a lot of people use EDI. Some point of time, before Sunshine, we have a couple of hour class only on EDI. Before Sunshine, we are going through dark ages. Today is the day 1 of the dark ages. Dark age starts. Some point of time, Renaissance will come. Hopefully. I will have a couple of EDI is very important actually, right? A lot of corporate customers in US especially use lot of EDIs. In fact, when I'm doing my ASAP class after this MM WM finished, I'm going to talk few hours only on EDI. They are actually EDI is a separate tool by itself. Some of you might know. They are EDI expert whose job is to maintain those EDI and all that. You're not becoming an EDI expert, but you need to know EDI sufficient because EDI integrate with SAP all the time. So how that integration of EDI will happen with SAP is very important. A lot of people go and the only thing they do is EDI. So it's very important. Then we have email. Nowadays email is very common. You can send email from SAP. You can do fax. I don't know if Tales or Teletext anybody use anymore. But printer, EDI, email, and fax you can use very expensive.
Most of it is also very much encrypted as well.
You can do encryption in SAP too. I don't know if you encrypt purchase order though. It's not legally required that you encrypt purchase order. But in purchasing, you can use, for example, credit card. Credit card and all those information also you can maintain in SAP. That information is required to be encrypted by law. Means if you are holding consumers' credit card information, there is a lot of consumer laws. So at the time of selling or at the time of buying, if you put your credit card information in sales order or purchase order and all those, and finance people deal with a credit card, those information is encrypted. You can do 64-bit of encryption in SAP and hold that data. PO, not you do encrypt as well, though. But credit card and all that is required by law. Means somebody, if because the rule means if you misplace somebody's credit card information goes, there is a criminal law obligations for those. Now, procurement of service cycle. Now, so far, I've been talking about buying item, buying item, buying item, buying item. This is the term which I've been using. But make no mistake, in SAP, you're not only buying product, you're also buying services. Means you're buying somebody to come and fix your fax machine. You're buying someone, you're asking someone to come and do the, clean the window of your company, do the painting on the wall. SAP Consultant, when they go, they're also providing services, right? They're getting PO for you too. So in SAP, when you're buying, you're not only buying product, but you're also buying services. So we have determination of requirement, same box. So remember, I go back to, this is slide 16. Let me touch base. Then this is my slide 10. This is procurement of cycle when you're buying in the material. I'm buying this pen. And if I go back to slide 16, this is my cycle if I'm buying service. And the boxes, it is very similar. And see, there are some boxes in yellow and some boxes in blue. There is meaning to it. The boxes that are in blue are specific to service cycle. And box in blue are common. So yellow is specific to service, blue in general. I would like you guys to make these boxes. So understand this. So first and foremost, we do requirement determination. It's similar. Then we have something called service specification creation. When you're doing a material, we have a material master. When we are buying service, there is a service master. Source determination means you need to buy who you can purchase from. Vendor selection means you select the right vendor. You can send RFQ quotation. You can maintain compare quotation. You can convert that quotation to a purchase order. You can send that purchase order to the vendor and do the monitoring. These are processes. Now, when you're doing a service, in SAP there is something called service entry sheet. Service entry sheet means somebody is entering, let's say, service item. There is service entry sheet. And next one is service acceptance. Means accepting the service. So entering service and accepting service. Those steps are different. In case of goods, there is a good receipt. If you go back to slide number 10, there is a good receipt. And here, we are talking about service entry sheet. And after you enter the service, it's like you're working in a consultant, you enter your timesheet. That is service entry. And then your manager approves it. That is the service acceptance. Then you do invoice verification. Then you do the payment to your vendor. And then this is the purchase service account.
Service entry is the charge time hours.
You can do that. You can enter this consultant work 40 hours, this work 20 hours. And then somebody approves. Because in case of service, there is no good receipt. We are not receiving anything physical. Somebody asking you and charging you for time. They spent 40 hours they worked. In 40 hours, they might have only worked 10 hours, or remaining time and go to tea, coffee, gossip, NBA, NFL, politics, bitching, moaning, complaining, sleeping, snoring. But whatever time left, 10 hours, they worked charge for 40. Consultants. So, similar, we talked about material master. There is also a service master. I would like you guys to make a note of service master record. So a service master record, and in service master record is like your material master record, your service master record. In service master record, you can use an MM module, which is what we are learning. In SAP, we also have something called project system module. You can put that service master in the project system as well, and you can use the service master in plant maintenance. So procurement module, project system, plant maintenance. Okay. Purchase order, you have a service, consumable item, stock item. In service, we can create a service PO. Consumable item. Do you guys know what is consumable item means? So we're talking about service PO. That is basically me purchase order for service items. Then we have a consumables. Do you guys know what example of consumable would be? Stationery. You're buying, let's say, some marketing literature. You're buying a laptop for a new employee. Keep making notes. These are examples of buying consumable items. Stationery, marketing material, laptop. These are example of consumable. Consumable item means you buy and you immediately consume. You don't. So you're buying a laptop, you purchase a laptop and give it to the employee. You don't keep laptop in a warehouse. Then you have a stock item. A stock item means items which we keep in our stock. I'm going to talk to you about procurement of consumable items, how SAP handles procurement of consumable items. I would like you guys to make a note of the bullet point number 1. Bullet point number 1. Consumable item, so let's say you're buying computer systems, that's why we're talking about you're buying a laptop. You're buying a stationery, office material. These are example of consumable item. Sometimes consumable items are also called, I would like you guys to make a note of, indirect procurement. Indirect procurement is also called consumable items. In SAP, we have something called account assignment objects. Make a note of that. I'm going to give you a definition. Account assignment objects. Account assignment objects, in a simple sense, who get cost, expense. Oops, what happened? Where is this gone? You got double face. Account assignment is, in a simple sense, who get cost, expense. Okay. Who get the expense? So, for example, we are buying a laptop for a new employee. Who will get the cost? HR department. I'm buying marketing literature for sales and campaigning. Who will get the cost? Sales and marketing department. I'm buying a hardware for maintenance. Who will get the cost? Maintenance department. Because whatever item you're buying is an expense to your organization. Somewhere that expense has to be assigned. And that expense goes to account assignment objects. And cost center is one of the examples. Here we have asset, cost center, project, production order, sales order. These are the several objects to whom the cost of purchasing can be assigned. Very rarely indirect materials are in stock. That is correct. They're normally non-stock items. So these are objects who receive the cost. Okay. Now we have a stock item and we have a consumable item. A stock item which you keep in our stock. You're buying it. Mostly stock items are used in production. So I'm a company, let's say Kellogg. You guys with me? In the Kellogg, I am buying, say, flour. I'm buying sugar. That flour and that sugar could be an example of a stock item. You keep it, keep in a stock and keep consuming from there. Normally goes into production. Consumable items, I already gave an example. You're buying office stationery, buying marketing item, buying laptop, and all those items which goes in day-to-day consumables. That is example of consumable items. Stock item and consumable items. Standard procurement for consumable item. So if I'm doing a consumable item, you can again create a PR. you create a purchase order, you create a good receipt, you create an invoice verification. I would like you guys to make a note of these 4 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So purchase requisition, purchase order, good receipt, invoice verification. Purchase requisition tells me what I need to buy. You don't need to create all the time, that's why it says optional. Purchase order, and after that I receive the material, I do invoice. Now here you see this purchase good receipt, this is a dotted line, it's not a complete line. Why it is the dotted line? Because in case of consumable item, if you want to configure the system and not to do good receipt, you can do that. So if you want to configure in case of, because consumable item, and why will you do that? Let us say you're buying this pen, right? You buy 10 pieces of this pen. One pen is for 50 cents. If 10 pen is like $5. You will probably not like to do a good receipt material which is for $5. It's not a good use of your time. So in the system, in case of low value item, you can bypass not having a good receipt. You get a purchase order and then you directly get an invoice and you sign it, you get paid. Because that item, that procurement value is very low. If you have somebody doing a good receipt and putting in system, punching and spending half an hour for a $5 item, it's not a good use of the time of that person. So that is why here we have a dotted line, means you can configure the system in case of consumable item not to have good receipt if, let us say, that item is very low value. Got my point? Invoice verification will always happen. That's why there's a complete line. Basically means whether you're buying $5 or $50,000, you have to always pay the vendor. So invoice verification, of course, always will happen. Okay. In SAP, we have something called blanket purchase order. I would like you guys to make a note of that system. So blanket purchase order. Blanket purchase order, I would like you guys to make a note. Blanket purchase order is also called open purchase order. Is also called miscellaneous purchase order. So blanket purchase order. This is a blanket purchase order cycle. See here, this is a procurement by blanket purchase order. You can have a purchase requisition. Normally there is no quotation, there is no contract, you create a PO. And in case of blanket purchase order, see here, there is not a good receipt and service entry sheet. This is important. So if remember, I told you that certain case of consumable item, we do not need to create a good receipt because they're so low value item. You can create a blanket purchase order. It's a choice. It depends upon your company's business process, your company's business need. Some people love it because, oh yeah, I want to do a good receipt for 5 people. Some people don't like it, depending upon the company, the business record. But invoice verification always happens. You always do invoicing, etc. Can you go back to the notepad? I would like you guys to make this cycle first. Procurement by blanket purchase order. Make this note. Will we use blanket PO mostly for consumable? Mostly, yes, that is true. We use blanket purchase order mostly for consumable item. That is very true. But an important step here though is that in case of blanket purchase order, there is no good receipt, there is no service entry. That step is not there. That is a distinct difference. I have seen two kind of reactions. People love it or don't like it at all. Some companies, oh yeah, that's perfect. We don't want to do a good receipt for $5 or $2. I was talking to one company here. I was making a presentation to them like in June. And they said, oh, do I need to do a good receipt for like my lunch order for $3.99? I said, no, you don't need to. Oh, okay. They don't want to do that. It's too much overhead. As we are very lean, we only have that many people. I don't want to create a good receipt for $3.99. Somebody submit and get an invoice, I approve, so that's good to go. So depending upon the company.
There's permit cards as well for like small purchases that companies use?
Huh?
Procurement cards, like a credit card.
P-card?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For like smaller purchases.
You can use P-card also, yeah. SAP, you can do P-card in it. But irrespective whether P-card or not, anything which is making less than certain threshold. In purchase order also, you don't want to keep purchase order. That's why I create a blanket order. This PO I'm giving to you for next 1 year. I will be buying your office stationery for $2,000. I don't want to keep creating a PO every time. That's why it's called open PO. That's why it's called blanket PO. We will do all these exercises some point of time before we will do all these exercises before sunshine. We are going through dark ages. Before Renaissance will happen. Before Leonardo da Vinci gonna paint the Mona Lisa. I want to talk to you about this procurement of stock material. These are some of the scenarios. What I'm showing you is a various scenario. We talk about service scenario. We talk about consumable scenario. Now I'm talking with the stock scenario. In the service scenario, we talk about there are some additional steps. There are 3 separate steps are there. Remember 3 boxes. In consumable item, we do not have certain steps because every process is different. Now we talk about stock item. These are the various purchasing documents. I want to give it 1 minute if you guys can make a note of it. A stock item almost must be need a gear. Yes, that's correct. A stock item mostly always have a PO. That's correct. I would like you guys to make a note of these boxes. One. Thank you. You need a phone though. There is in the front office. Sandeep, I love you. This is a teacher to student love. Do not take it other way around. You guys are very, very intelligent. Now, what are the different purchasing documents? So you create a purchase requisition, make these boxes. Then I can extend it. Make sure that you guys get this PDF from Sonal also. Okay. So we are purchasing. You guys with me or without me? With me. You are with me because you love me. How about remaining 3? With me? How many fingers are these? 2. Test. I was doing test. This is called effect of SAP on human brain. Sometimes it's not very positive. No. It's a sleep inducing. All the people on the phone are already snoring. Multiple snores coming up, storing. Okay, no, it's not the case. They are also listening. Are you guys listening on the phone or snoring? No voice going. No response coming to me. I cannot hear you guys. I cannot even hear your snore. They're just getting recorded as a background decoder. Do you have any tea breaks? I will have a permanent break at 4 o'clock. Today is only 3-hour class. If you go a quick 5-minute break, we can do 5. That's fine. I'm teaching since morning 6 o'clock, by the way. My first class was morning 6. No, sir. I'm teaching. I have a presentation to one of the conference. And there is a call in Indore, in India. There is an institute, MBA institutes. I was making 1-hour presentation. SAP and entrepreneurship. Oh, there's a 12-hour time. It was evening, this morning. Yeah. Okay. So we can take 5-minute break. So let's take a quick 5-minute bio break and we can start up 5 minutes. 5 minutes bio break. Take all legally permitted drugs. She wasn't probably aware. something.
Very good, yeah.
You bring something from Sudan. I do fusion food.
I think you get good dates, right?
Huh?
Dates, what is dates in Arabic? Taba?
Tamar, yeah.
What is that called?
Kajura?
Yeah, that's very good.
You also?
See, I'm a Brahmin. Brahmins are certified beggars. Begging is their professional business. Another. No, sapbusinessone@hotmail.com.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Huh? No. 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 With purchasing document. Okay. So in purchasing, various purchasing documents. First and foremost, we have purchase requisition. Purchase requisition can goes to RFQ. RFQ means request for quotation. Request for quotation can be sent to the various vendor, vendor 1, vendor 2, vendor 3. Then these RFQ can be converted into quotation. And then this quotation goes to purchase order. And you get 3 quotations. The one you like, you convert into purchase order. You can create a contract with that. Another one which you don't like, you can send a rejection letter. This is end-to-end purchasing documents. Purchase requisition 1, RFQ number 2, quotation number 3, contract number 4, purchase order number 4. These are the 5 main purchasing documents in SAP. There are different variations of it, but the main, they are the 5 documents. We're gonna do all those exercises. This is we talk about stock versus on stock. I keep the stock, consumable we keeping the consumable. Only thing we want that when you start keeping the stock, you have to have a material master record for it. If you're buying a consumable item, means you buy and consume it, you can buy it with material master and without master. So these 2 boxes, I would like you guys to make a note of it. Stock item, consumable item. So if you're buying in a stock which you want to keep in your stock in the warehouse, you have to have a master. If you buy the consumable item, you can buy the material. If you do not have a material master, that is all. So let me see what we did. Let's pay attention. So we started our SAP MM module 20 years back at 1 p.m. around 20 years back. Does it not sound like 20 years past? We talked about that MM module consists of planning, purchasing, inventory, invoice verification, 4 main pillars. We talked about master data. 3 of master data we talked about: material, vendor, and purchase info record. We talked about, and apart from these 3, there are other masters also. We will not, it's still an overview. Then we talk about organization units. We talk about there is a client, there is a company code, there is a plant, there is a store location, there is a purchase organization, purchasing group. Client, we said Coke. Company code, like a Coke US, Coke Canada, legal entity. Plant, manufacturing entity. Store location, where you keep a store material. Purchase organization, purchasing entity. Purchasing group, your group of buyers. Then we talked about, so far, 3 main type of a process flows. We talked about how we buy consumable item, stock item, and service item. We saw there is 8-step process. Then we saw in service item there's some additional step. We talked about in consumable item there's a step of guru receipt which is optional, and then we talk about in the whole cycle for the stock item. That is what is the summary of it so far. Let's talk about guru receipt. Any question anybody has on the phone? Anybody on the phone has any question? Anybody has any question on the phone? Amra, Lenores, Muhammad, Alok Pratap. Because any one of you has any question for me? Okay. No question suggests 2 situations. 1, everything is fine. B, nothing is fine. I'm assuming option A applies, being on positive side. Okay. Consumable, service, consumable, stock receipts. If you're buying a service item, if you're buying a consumable item, here there is, see this word, logical receipt. Logical. Because, why is it logical? Because, pay attention, if I'm buying a service item, it's not a physical receipt. If I'm buying a consumable item, there is also not physically I'm keeping and putting into my warehouse. That is why the word here is called logical goods receipt. In case of a stock item though, there is a physical good receipt. It means you physically receive it and you keep that into your warehouse. Okay. So there is a logical good receipt and there is a physical good receipt. Document for the good moments. Any kind of a material comes to the warehouse, material goes out of the warehouse. In SAP, there are two documents from inventory perspective. One is called material document, second one is called accounting document. I would like you guys to make a note of these two boxes. So when we do any kind of a good moment, then there is a material document always created and there is accounting document always created. These are the two important things. You will not understand what is material document, what is accounting document, but some point of time before sunshine you will. Then we talk about invoice verification. So vendor gonna send his invoice to us. I'm gonna verify the invoice, trying to make sure that invoice is right. I'm gonna verify against PO. I'm gonna verify against good receipt. My vendor telling me I give you 10 pieces. I'm gonna verify. My vendor tells me price is $10 per piece. I'm gonna verify. So I'm gonna verify quantity. I'm gonna verify price. And behind the scenes system, again in the system, create a invoice document. It also create a payment program. I would like you guys, these boxes are to be made. These are the invoice processing steps. Could we add? Yes, of course. There is always GR document. Yes. So invoice verification can be done with reference to PO. So when I'm doing a PO invoice verification, I'm verifying against my purchase order. Invoice verification I do for service entry. So when I'm doing invoice, I'm verifying against my service entry sheet. Service entry sheet means an example of the service item. A customer is have that many hours. Do you have that many hours in service entry sheet? So find your hours, what we have in service and what kind of approval of hours we have that is coming from service entry sheet. Difference with the contract is you. Lenoris, I love you. Contract is and we have a whole topic, we'll do all these exercises now. It's a long-term agreement with vendor. That is what normally contract means. I'm signing a 5-year contract with this supplier. I'm signing 5-year contract with the Staples for supplying me all of its stationery. That is a contract. Purchase order is an individual document. I'm giving a PO for supplying 100 pieces. You supply me, it's over.
We also say the contract is long-term legal agreement too, where you have a long-term
Yes. Agreement, that basically means is legal, yes. Contracts is always legal. But the very important thing is that they're long term. I'm signing contract for 2 years, for 5 years, for 10 years. PO normally is an individual document. You do it, you survive, years finished. Contract remain open for means a longer duration. Okay. Can you source against a contract? Of course. That is the first contract. PO is legal and binding. That is PO is legal too, but it is for only for that amount of quantity. Normally POs are not used. Question finally came. Any other question? Okay. So, but I do invoice verification. What is true? It can my vendor. This is my finance entry. This is accounting document. System update. Remember. At the end of the day, vendor is my creditor. You owe the money to the vendor. What system do? It credit my vendor, debit my GIR finger. It also update my tax because I may be paying input tax to the government. This account. This is integration of MM with finance. The top button is MM. Last button or last box is finance. So integrating MM with because when you do invoice verification, what happens? System automatically update account payable. See this arrow coming out? That is what it means. And what does it do? It credit vendor, debit GIR killing account, update my tax amount.
So there should be a person that's going to do that. There shouldn't be a person that's going to automatically
This one?
put it in the system.
This automatically gets created. Invoice verification, somebody is doing it, or you can do automatically also. General ledger entry happen automatically if everything is fine. if payment is perfect. If otherwise, it's going to block it. If you have price difference, if you have quantity difference. But if everything is good, if you agree with it, you approve it, it will boom, it's going to update it. If you say $100, your vendor says $110, you say, oh, it's not matching. It's not updated. But yeah, you'd say $100, your vendor say $100, both match, everything is clean, boom, it goes update account. You're only going to pay as per the payment term though. Updating vendor will happen automatically, but payment to the vendor will happen as per the payment term. That could be 30-day payment term, 45 days payment term, 60 days or 15 days or immediate or whatever. And SAP also keep control of the payment method. I going to cut the check, I going to do electronic transfer of the fund, or what other methods are. Okay, that is part of the logistic and web certification. In SAP, we also have something called purchase order history. Describe three-way match compared to invoice verification. Is it always required? No, it's not always required. Remember, we talked about in case of consumable item, there is no match. Three-way match basically means verifying invoice against PO and good receipts. Make a note of that. Other than posting accounting document, there is no post accounting document. Contract is used for posting law management. Is a lot for consumable items. PO blankets will post everything goes to account. Contract doesn't go to account directly. And then you need to pay. Purchase order history. In purchase order, in that you can have a see system keeper order pieces, then system keeper this purchase order 5 pieces came on this date, 3 pieces came on this date, 2 pieces came on this date. I received the invoice for 10 pieces on this date. The system can purchase order history for line item 20, this is history. Go to the field and say receipt, which date, how much quantity. With an invoice, which date, how much. This example. Any questions? Any question anybody has? Okay. In the inventory management, we already talked about vendor comes in, we do the guru sheet, system record that guru sheet in SAP, and physically that material get increased in my warehouse. So guru sheet for the stock item is a physical receiving the material, verifying it and putting into my warehouse. And because it's a stock item, therefore I keep track of this in my inventory. I keep track that how much I have at all given time. That is why it is called a stock item. Okay. Then when you have a good receipt, and second transaction is goods issue. So from your warehouse, you keep consuming and issuing this material to various places. For example, to a cost center, you have a material in a warehouse, somebody in the plant maintenance come and say, I need this material. Somebody from HR department comes and say, I need this material. Production people came, sales people come, some asset people come. Sometimes you send samples to quality department, that is also a good issue. You send material to scrap. Over the period of time that material got a scrap. That's also example of good issue. There are multiple ways we're going to do. In SAP, there are 250 approximately good moments. So many receipts and consumes. We're talking about only few today, but there are approximately 250 out of the box standard SAP good moments. And then you can create additional on the top of that. You can also do stock transfer. For example, plant to plant, store to store. Plant to plant means I have a plant in New Jersey, I have a plant in Boston. I'm transferring the material from New Jersey to Boston, Boston to New Jersey. That is example of plant to plant stock transfer. Store to store. I have one store in New Jersey. In addition, I have another store in addition, Bridgewater. In two stores, I'm transferring the material. Then we have a material to material. Material to material basically means sometimes material A is kept, quality inspection to unrestricted. There are various special stock, consignment stock. We're going to do all these exercises, consignment, subcontracting. There are approximately 24 special type of stock which SAP supports. These are some of the examples of this transfer posting. You have material lying into quality inspection. You're moving from quality inspection to blocked stock, from blocked to unrestricted stock, unrestricted to quality stock, and vice versa. Quality means your material lying in the quality. Your inspector is testing it. Unrestricted means good to go score, means it's regular stock, good stock. Blocked means quarantined stock, something is wrong with it. And you can move material. This is an example of transfer posting. So your material lying in quality inspection, and after from quality inspection you want to move it to unrestricted. And from unrestricted you want to move it to quality, and vice versa. In SAP there is something called movement type. I would like you guys to make a note of this word. This is something important, movement type. Movement type is a 3-digit key. Yeah, we'll talk about it. You keep a material and over the period of time that material got converted to another material. So that is a material to material transfer. You keep a wine and after 5 years it become another brand of the wine, 2 different material. You keep a chemical over the self reaction, chemical A become chemical B. You keep a cheese and after 2 weeks that become a hardened cheese, that is separate product. Okay. Movement type. Movement type is a 3-digit key. Moment type is a 3-digit key. So any kind of a good movement you do, and see, let me also go back to the last slide. So you're moving material, say unrestricted to quality moment type 3. 321 is a moment type. Moment type is a 3-digit key which tells me what kind of movement it is. So every movement is defined, designated by this 3-digit key. So for example, if you are moving material from quality inspection to unrestricted, moment type 321. So when I say 321, that is what it means. If I'm moving from regular stock to quality spec to the moment type 322. If I'm moving this material quality inspection to block, 350. If I'm block to quality inspection, 349. From block to unrestricted, 344, 343. And similarly, if I'm receiving the material from the vendor into my warehouse, the moment type is 101. If I'm sending the material from my warehouse back to the vendor because something wrong with that material, moment type 122. I would like you guys to make a note of the 101 and 122. And also the description, what these moment type basically means. These are all standard SAP provided moment types.
Would they have the same coding on the invoices? Like, for example, the price, company, whatever, would they have the same coding?
This has nothing to invoicing. This is for good moments. 101 tells me that I received the material. If I'm receiving the material from vendor to my warehouse, moment type 101. If I'm sending the material from my warehouse to vendor, moment type 122. And similarly many. There are 250 such moment types out of the box in SAP. And then you can configure your own. And it does happen as well. You can talk about how many different variation, permutation, combinations we are talking about here. It's very, very extensive. Very, very engrossed. Okay. These are the various effects. Good movement is a wonderful thing which SAP do. So many things happen here. What is the effect of good movement? You will not understand all of them today because this, of course, is our first class. So one of the important things which I would like to highlight here is stock and consumption updation. You see this box here? That basically means, remember, your inventory is also your asset. So let us say you're buying this item, and this one item is for $10, and if you purchase 20 pieces, then what is the cost of this item? $200. When you receive this material and keep it into your warehouse, then your inventory go up by $200. Somebody will be asking you that how much is the inventory which is lying in your warehouse? How much is the inventory which will be lying in your warehouse? And you can say, oh, I have a 5 million inventory. Oh, I have a $10 million inventory. I have a $2 million. From where this 5 million or 2 million and 10 million coming from? That's a beautiful thing. SAP is a real-time accounting system. The moment you do good, it's not just doing the logistic part or physical. It is also in the background doing financial part also. See here, it's stock and consumption. It also update to WM, QM, create various documents, update purchase or history, material master. So it has a lot of good effects after the fact. These are different stock types. Unrestricted stock basically means regular stock. Quality stock basically means material which is lying in quality. Blocked stock basically means something wrong with it, quarantined. I put in the blocked stock, something wrong. Damaged material, for example. Material came is completely damaged, I put into blocked stock. I'm expecting vendor to come and see what is going on. Blocked stock. And many others. There are not only 3, there are many more. In SAP, we also have a process of physical inventory. Process of physical inventory. Physical inventory verifies. Make a note. So there is something, and we will talk about this exercise and all that. We'll do physical inventory. Physical inventory is the process of verifying book inventory against physical. So I go to my SAP system, and then in SAP system I see, oh, I have this piece is 20. If you go physically in warehouse, you may not find 20. They might be 19, they may be 18, they may be 22. Physical inventory process is required by law. So in most countries, we have to do physical inventory process, and it is required by the law. It is required by the law. That is the physical inventory process. These are the phases of physical inventory. You create a physical inventory document, you count that, you verify what is the difference, and then post the difference. Means your system says, oh, I have a 20, but you find down, then you post the difference, because both has to be 90. Your book cannot say 20 and physically have a 90. Then you post the differences. That is the process of physical inventory. These are various steps in physical inventory. You can enter, count, post differences. Once posted, you can do recounting. All those different steps you can do in SAP. Once you post the differences, behind the scene, system create a material document. Behind the scene, system create a accounting document. Material document, keep track of quantity change. Accounting document, keep track of financial change. Because if inventory found more or less, it is changing your quantity, it is also changing value. So let's say your book says 20, you find 19. That basically means once you post the differences, your inventory will go down by 1 piece. That basically means your value also will go down by 1 piece. If 1 piece is $10, that basically means your inventory also reduced by $10. That is why it is required by law. Because your inventory is also your asset. So if you're producing a balance sheet and say, this is my liability, this is my asset. If you have not done physical inventory, you don't know what is your true asset is. That's why there is a accounting document. Because now after physical inventory, you know for the fact that how much you really have. Okay. So it does create material document and accounting document both. In SAP, we also have obviously something called LIS. LIS means Logistic Information System. And LIS basically talks about how the reporting can be conducted. These are the reporting tool in SAP. I will show you in system. In LIS, we have a sales information system, we have purchase information system, invoicing purchase system, and warehouse information system, quality, plant maintenance. So means nowadays we have SAP BI and BW. But many years back, there was no BI and BW. Then how will you do the reporting, right? Then SAP provided LIS to perform the reporting, which is inbuilt reporting tool within SAP R3. It is inbuilt SAP reporting tool. Logistic data, this is just an example. You can store very characteristic and period and key figure, purchasing information, sales, production, and all that. Okay. So this was the last slide. One more thing which I wanted to show you is I wanted to create a simple purchasing cycle. I want to create a simple purchasing cycle in SAP system. So how do we log into the SAP system? Step number one, you have to be connected to the VPN. If you are logged in from home, you need VPN connection. How to set up your VPN? If you have not done it, make sure you talk to Sonal or somebody, he's going to help you. Step number two, that we need a SAP logon. This is SAP logon. And this is SAP MM server. If I click on it, it let me go in. You can put your ID, you will get your password. Make sure that you get your ID and password from Sony. This is how SAP look like. It's not that dangerously looking though.
When I click SAP logon, I don't see the connections. I see the favorite connections, but I mean when I click connections, there is nothing on the right side.
Talk to Sony. Do you have your laptop? I can look into it.
No, I don't have right now.
Okay, you can talk to me offline. If she's not able to, I can. But I need to have your laptop. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is, I want to go create a, how do we get purchase requisition? Simple transaction. We will do this again and again. These transactions I'm just doing for the sake, so you can get a little bit of a feel of the system. It will be a good idea that if you do it. If you don't do it, I understand. These are the 4 steps I want to do. If you're going to do all these steps end-to-end few times, you're going to get the $1 cash award. $1 cash. After 33% deduction, you're going to get 67 cents. Nevertheless, it's a free money though. No. So purchase requisition, purchase order. So I go to, this is purchasing. I'm just showing you how do we create simple transactions. This is how purchase requisition looks like. I enter my material, enter my quantity, I create my purchase order. I'm saying I need this material 10 pieces, and I saved it. Purchase requisition number 1001673 has been created. So I create a purchase requisition. We will be doing all these steps 1 gazillion more time. So do not try to memorize and all that. I'm just trying to show you to get a little feel of it. ME21N. I get all my purchase requisition. This was the purchase requisition, right? Yep. So I select my purchase requisition, I copy and I convert this purchase requisition to purchase order. I'm buying 10 pieces, one piece is $10 per piece. When we will get the configuration, please talk to Sonal. He should help you. And then we hit save. We send a PO created under the number. I make a note of purchase order. Now I want to do good receipt. Again, do not try to memorize. You will not understand. I'm just showing you just to give it a feel of the system. I'm creating a good receipt. I got a PR, I convert a PO. Now I'm doing a good receipt. Okay. Check and hit save. I did a good receipt. Now the next step and the last step, I'm going to do invoice verification. Okay. I'm doing some verifying invoice against my purchase order. Okay. Balance 00, green. I save it. Hit enter. Invoice document has been created. Now I want to go last step as a purchase order history. Do not again try to understand everything. You will not be able to do all of these steps. This is purchase order history. System tells me in status also there in PO, my ordered quantity 10, delivered quantity 10, is still to delivered 0, invoice quantity 10. If I go into item detail, I have material document, accounting document. This was my good receipt document for 10 pieces. This is my invoicing document for 10 pieces. If I go back to, I can directly go back from any of the documents. This is my invoices. If I go to follow-on document, I can go to finance now. This is accounting document. I'm going to see my vendor getting credited. I staple vendor 100300. This is vendor. My staple got credited by $100 and debited DIR. This is a real-time integration of MM with the finance.